Well, that music gets me going every single time. And guess what? It's very appealing, that type of music, because we got the sexiest man to ever step foot inside the octagon. And I know that Luke Rockhold probably is a little jealous every time you got inside that cage. Alan Jouban, man, nice. Thanks for coming on the show. We're going to break down UFC 322 and talk about, obviously, the welterweight division, because I feel like you're an expert in that division. So let's go ahead and chat a little bit about how you been, man. I haven't talked to you in a while. It's been a while. We text back and forth, talk about our boys and what's going on. And
yeah, man. Yeah, I know. We've been staying in touch since we both kind of left the West Coast, right? Kind of settled down back. You're in Texas, I'm in Louisiana. Yep. Things have been good, man. Things have been really good. I'm kind of just eagerly waiting to see what happens with this card the following weekend. Obviously, like a big, huge welterweight matchup on that card as well. Bilal back in there, but it's for the UFC. Like for me, working with the UFC, man, it's kind of like what's happening next year. Nobody knows anything yet. We haven't had any dates. We haven't had any bookings on like what's happening. So it's kind of really up in the air. Just kind of finishing out this year with a bang to see what happens next year.
I think a lot of that is that they don't want to overlook what's going on right now. This is probably the best card they've had all year coming up this weekend, UFC 322, headlined by JDM, Jack Della Maddalena, and Islam Makhachev. I mean, that's a huge fight, but then I can just go down this card. Wei Li going up in weight as well as Islam. So you have two title fights where both the contenders are trying to go up in weight to capture the second title. It's huge, man. I really believe that's a huge deal. You got Sean Brady, who's been lingering there at number one and fighting the up-and-comer, the young up-and-comer, the explosive young up-and-comer, Michael Morales. You got Leon Edwards, basically the former champion, the old dog, but I don't want to call him old. He's not old. He's just been around for so long, doing it at such a high level. You got to respect that fighting against Carlos Prates, who's also not very young. He's not an old guy, but he's not a young guy. They're kind of in that same mix, but very explosive and dynamic. And I think possibly the fight of the night is going to be Beneil Dariush and Benoit Saint Denis. That's going to be a great fight. And I'll trickle on down to the other fight I think is going to be probably fight of the night is going to be Kopylov and Gregory Rodriguez. Those two, I think, possibly bang it out, because Gregory Rodriguez is someone that he can wrestle, he can grapple, but he has a tendency to sometimes just stand and trade.
I can get on board with all of those. I mean, when you look top to bottom, it's a phenomenal card. As you said, even on those prelims, there's some good stuff. But just pay-per-view alone, I can't recall this year there being a more attractive pay-per-view for the UFC than this one. I mean, and then to have two super fights, two fights where champions are coming up to try to reclaim another title in another division, and it all going down in Madison Square Garden. It really is a way for the UFC to kind of end the year with a bang. It's not the final pay-per-view, but to put on a very big show where all the Paramount executives are going to be there. And like anytime you do something in New York with this type of kind of machine behind it, with everyone that's involved in this fight, it's a good thing for the UFC. You just got to hope that the card goes down as we're expecting it to go. But I believe it will, man. I mean, there's a lot of really banger type matchups on this card.
Oh, absolutely. Hey guys, I wanted to also let you guys know, drop your super chats in the comments down below. So if you guys have questions for Alan, go ahead. You can get to them before we drop off later, before we do any news. I want to make sure you guys get your questions answered. It's a special treat to have you on, man. I really do appreciate it. I get a little jealous of your good looks and your jawline and all those things. So
we're like twins, bro. What are you talking about? You're complimenting yourself when you say these things, but I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I thank you very much. Thank you very much. But let's, I think what the best thing to do is let's just jump right into the card. I want to talk mainly the main card. If there's any like stragglers down there in the prelims that you kind of wanted to chat about, go ahead and let's throw those in. But let's talk right off the top for the welterweight title. You've got Islam Makhachev coming in against JDM. Give me your perspective and your breakdown on how you see this fight going. And are people overlooking JDM?
I would say so. I mean, if you're overlooking JDM, then I think that's a significant reach right there, because I don't know, man. I know we probably have different views. I know you come from a camp, you're close to Islam. I've been seeing everything you're doing this week, and I've been trying to follow it all because it's provided me with a lot of insight on what's going on with these guys behind the scenes. For me, what's tough to get around in this matchup, and I can't break this wall, is two things in this matchup, right? Islam is going up in weight. So for the first time in his career, he will be at the weight deficit. He won't be the guy has the weight advantage. And look, I'm close to Poirier, right? Dustin Poirier is a guy, Lafayette, Louisiana guy. I spoke to him about this fight before too. And he's like, man, I remember seeing the weight. when I fought Islam, and he was a good 8 pounds heavier than me. Dustin's a pretty good size lightweight. Islam always kind of had this weight advantage on people. And look, his skill set is at the highest. He's pound for pound #1 in the world guy. But when you also have that advantage of being strong with top tier level grappling and striking, it gives you an advantage over people. Well, now we're taking that advantage away. So if you're stripping that advantage away, and now he's going to be at a weight deficit. And the other thing that I can't get around, Josh, and I hope you could help me figure this out. One, the weight deficit. Two, Jack Della Maddalena having the corner that he has. And I say the corner, but having Craig Jones and Alexander Volkanovski, two guys that have only been in the Alexander Volkanovski, but Craig Jones has broken down Islam Makhachev so thoroughly. I've seen some of the breakdowns on. He knows every takedown that Islam has. He knows his throws against the fence. He knows how he holds people. And he has worked vigorously with JDM on how to avoid that. Now, obviously, I think Islam will get the takedown, but how long will we be able to hold him down? And we saw that in the first matchup with Alexander Volkanovski. Islam was finding his takedowns, but Alexander Volkanovski found a way to get back up throughout the fight. And it began to kind of settle in to a striking match where both guys were able to score at certain points of the fight. And I don't think you could do that. I don't think you could settle in and have this go into the later rounds. If this was a 3-round fight, I think I'd put my money on Islam. But as it stands as a 5-rounder, I very much am leaning towards JDM in this one.
Ooh, I mean, the betting odds would go against you, but I got to be honest. I mean, I have had several conversations with Habib. I've had several conversations with Islam. They understand this is going to be the toughest fight he's ever had. This is gonna be more so in preparation. He's been preparing for 10, almost 11 months. He's been putting the weight on properly. He's really been taking care of his nutrition. He's been trying to keep the weight on, to be honest, throughout. He's sleeping. He goes to bed, say 193, 194, and he wakes up, 186.
Yeah.
Because he's just, how it is.
Floating a lot of weight. Yeah.
You're floating a lot of weight in the middle of the night that you don't realize. And I had some very similar situations happen to me throughout my career. In this situation, I don't want to say he's going to be at a weight deficit. It might be a little bit, a couple pounds. I'd say 3, maybe 4 pounds. So yeah, there will be a weight deficit, but it won't be as much as I believe people think.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to who can implement their game plan. That's really what it is. I said this when this fight was announced. This fight scares me. Islam is one of my closest friends. He helped me for the longest time. He was young. It's funny. They make fun of me, like Habib used to say, "You old like my father." Well, Islam the other day goes, "You old like my grandfather," because he's younger than
he's
Habib.
Younger. Yeah.
But they just, I've known them for so long, and I know the potential. And I used to say this. I go, Islam is the guy that had all the technique. He had the foot sweeps, the wrestling, the takedown, the tricks up his sleeves, the slick head kick that he hid really well. He's a southpaw. All of those things that I dreaded fighting, and I spar with him all the time, train and grappled him all the time. He's just phenomenal. He's a perfectionist, though. And that kind of scares me a little bit, because sometimes you got to dig that dog out of you. He's got the dog, but sometimes you just got to wing it. You got to stand and throw. And he is a perfectionist, and that's why he's so good. That's why he's at the level he's at. But no one's actually had to push him to the point where he's had to like just stand toe to toe and bang it out. Like Dustin, to me, is one of my all-time favorite fighters. Okay, but he wasn't even able to really get it out of him to stand and trade. Where like the wrestling wasn't a factor. Where like, hey, I could stuff your takedowns and make you work harder. Dustin couldn't do it. Volk had a little bit of that in the first fight. But I go back to, I believe that's the weight cutting issue. He only had, I think, like less than 24 hours to fully recover. Didn't get it. We saw what happened in the second fight. I know it was on short notice, but we've seen history with Islam. If he has the full 36 hours to recover, which the commissions are now implementing, I believe that he is going to be he'll be fantastic. He's been fantastic at 155 when he's had the full time to recover. This time around, he didn't have to cut as much weight. He's walking around 91, maybe 92. Getting down to 70 is going to be a breeze.
Yeah. So that'll impact his cardio in a good way in this matchup. Islam has we've never had concern about Islam's cardio, right? He's always been a cardio machine, but he's human, and he does slow down as the pace of the fight progresses. He slows down with the pace of the fight, but he doesn't get tired. But you can't keep that pace forever. My point being, I think if Islam is going to win this fight, he needs to kind of pull the DC out of him. He needs to be a guy that's in your face boxing and shooting takedowns. And what I could see happening in this matchup is him getting the takedowns, but not being able to hold down JDM. Now, we look at Gilbert Burns when he fought. Gilbert Burns lost that fight by knockout, I believe, in the 3rd round, that knee, and then it was a ground and pound finish. Before that, he was having success. He was taking down JDM. He was nullifying the striking, finding the takedowns. The problem with it was he would only be able to stay on top of JDM for 30 seconds to a minute, and JDM would find a way to get back to his feet and bring it back into a firefight, which takes the nervous energy out of you. If you're traditionally a grappler, now you have to strike with somebody. When somebody gets up off the ground, you know that feeling of like, God, it's like almost like a loss. You take them down, but if you don't land any damage for 30 seconds and they get back to their feet, it's like they're reinvigorated, and you're kind of like playing catch up for a matter of seconds. What I worry for Islam is that is going to happen numerous times throughout the fight, throughout the first 3 rounds, if he can't get JDM out of there with a takedown and find that beautiful Darce. And in these later rounds is when the fight slows down, the effort to finish a takedown starts to slow down, and that's where JDM gets to unleash his hands. But to go back to my point about DC, Islam needs to be in his face, in my opinion. Boxing, taking him down, and if he can't hold him down, I think he needs to just put him against the fence, right, where it's less effort. You can hold him against the fence, get a nice underhook, work some of those trips. If he gets back up, keep pushing him on the fence and make this a dirty fight. But staying in the center of the octagon with somebody as dangerous as JDM, I think in the later round that gets him in trouble. I think he needs to find an early finish on one of those takedowns or just make it almost a boring fight. I don't think any of us will be bored in this fight because we're going to be at the edge of our seats with every single technique. But the more that he could just push JDM against the fence and hold him there. We've seen JDM early in his career get held against the fence before. He's learned from those mistakes. But that's something that I think Islam could have success if he's not able to solidify and hold down these takedowns early in the early rounds.
So I would agree with you on the Islam holding him against the fence. But I think that's where a lot of Islam's takedowns come from. They don't come out in the double legs, single legs. He will run the single leg pike from against the fence. He will punch his way to the clinch. He'll get to some sort of body lock or some sort of tie plum, and then he'll work his foot sweeps and his inside trips and all of those type of things from in that clinch and possibly against the fence. He does a great job at that. One of the things that used to drive me absolutely crazy is you'd spar with Habib, and he was like blast doubles and single legs and lifts and scoops and lift under the butt against the fence. Islam would push you to the fence or corner you to the fence, and then he would literally just body lock you, get to the over-under position, and just foot sweep you. He'd make you like move one way, you'd step, and then you go inside trip. He has ways of setting things up, and the way he pinches the glove in his armpit, the way he does all these little things. I expect him not to waste a lot of energy trying to shoot double legs and single legs. I expect him to try to punch his way into the clinch, work from there, keep him pressed against the fence, try to avoid the elbows, and look for foot sweeps, look for inside trips, look for hip toss, look for body locks, knee taps, all of those things that don't take a ton of effort to get the fight to the ground.
And do it early on, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
You look back at JDM's last fight against Bilal Muhammad, and the one thing that had everyone scratching their head is, why did he wait 3.5 to 4 minutes before he shot his first takedown, which was unsuccessful? And when you give somebody momentum on the feet and we make this a sparring match and we were landing points, the threat of the takedown becomes less important, right? And he waited too long. I think Islam needs to start early with this. Just the pressure, punching his way into the clinch against the fence, looking for those sweeps. And like I said, even if he's unsuccessful in getting this fight to the ground, or if he gets him down and JDM finds that way, the Craig Jones method of getting back to your feet, keeping him on the fence, not letting him circle out to the open.
What I take a look at is from the very beginning of JDM's career at Dana White Contender Series, the ability to scramble that everyone overlooked for so many fights. Then they thought, oh, because he got taken down by Gilbert Burns. Oh, by the way, is a fantastic grappler and wrestler and a beast and short and stocky and strong as heck. Like, those are all things that people just overlooked because Gilbert was getting a little bit older. But that's like you said, Gilbert was winning that fight. He was up, I believe, 2 rounds to none going into the third. I mean, so I don't take... I'm not going to discredit what JDM did. He's been successful throughout his career because he never quits, because he can do everything really well, but nothing really great. And I know I've used this analogy for GSP. GSP was a really good striker. He wasn't a great striker. He was a good wrestler. He wasn't a great wrestler. He was a good jiu-jitsu guy, not a great jiu-jitsu guy, but he could do it everywhere at any time. And he knew how to mix it up better than anyone in the sport. He's my all-time GOAT because of that. Like, he's the guy that can do everything. I look at JDM. He can scramble really well. I haven't seen a whole lot of his submission attempts, but I think his scrambling is probably one of the best in the company. And I also look at the way he strikes, and he mixes up his kicks behind his boxing, and he does a very good job of always making sure that he never stays directly in front of you. He creates angles left and right, and that's why I said in this fight, when it was announced, I got really nervous. I reached out to Habib and I said, hey, this is a dangerous fight, so I hope you guys are really prepared for this. And he said, yeah, we are. He goes, we understand. He's not only just a big body, but he is very talented, and there's that never quit in him that we know we have to get through. And this is a big deal.
I would say that JDM is a great striker, though. And I know you respect his striking, but I would say he is he not the best boxer in the welterweight division? I mean, it's hard to define striker, but we talk about purely hands. He might be that guy. He might be that guy that has the one-punch knockout power, the boxing range, the head movement, and the body shots. When you kind of combine them all together, a little bit Ilia Topuria-ish type of boxing style in there. What to me, the difference maker in the striking between these two, and I'm not trying to compare side by side their striking, but JDM is the most dangerous to me on the feet because he's always chambered. And it's not only his foot movement, like his feet put you in position to fight. But JDM always has his hands in a striking position. No matter what he's doing, it seems like it's always in position to quickly throw that counter strike. And I can see something happening there where in these exchanges, if Islam gets ahead of himself and starts trying to strike a little bit too much, one lazy retraction after a shot, JDM's a laser. He's a laser counter striker. He's a sniper with those counter strikes. And that could get him in trouble. So that's something that Islam is going to have to be cognizant of when he's pushing the action, offensively striking to get him to the fence. Now, I do believe that he will get the sweeps. I will get the takedown. And that's where we kind of just have to see what happens in the greatness of these two fighters. But the counter strikes in the center of the octagon is what I'm going to be looking for from JD, and to see, is that what he's trying to find the haymaker on?
Yeah, I guess I should rephrase what I said. Like, I don't think he's a great striker, but I'm talking about in terms of comparison to like Alex Pereira or Edson Barboza, like guys that basically predominantly were all striking, right? Guys that had world-class records and had won championships or whatever it was, right? Guys that were that level. He's not quite that level, but man, his striking, like I agree with you, is
a great MMA striker. Yeah.
MMA striker that does it all. The knee up the middle against Gilbert, like all of those things are huge, man. Knowing when to throw it and hit, like you said, his boxing. I put Alex Pereira, I put Ilia Topuria, and I put JDM. And I don't care how you mix them up. Mix them up how you want. Those are the three I feel, and Max Holloway. Those are the four boxers I think in the sport that I look at and I go, yeah, these guys can strike. They're really good in boxing. But I mean, this is MMA. So where's the kicks? Where's the knees? Where's the elbows? That's what I was referring to in the striking category. Yeah. So you're picking JDM to win this fight if it goes past 3?
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you now, I had a prediction that with ESPN today, and they wanted specifics. And I like I said, I can't get around this wall of him being this, even if it's 3 or 4 pounds, Islam being the undersized guy in this matchup, what the preparation that JDM has. And the other thing we're not talking about a lot is this is his first fight at welterweight. And I know he's had 11 or 12 months or 10 months to prepare for this, but nonetheless, it's the first fight. It's the first time he's taking damage with this weight. It's the first time he's absolutely 100% exerting himself to solidify every single takedown and punch. That extra effort that it's hard to mimic in the gym as hard as you might go, because you're not getting punched and having everything like the real life scenario of being under the bright lights. How does he look? Does he slow down? I mean, I'm not trying to draw an exact comparison, but we've seen guys go up. John Jones back in the day, when they put on an exercise, they were a little bit slower. They weren't quite themselves. The question marks of seeing him for the first time at a bigger weight class, carrying this weight, yeah, it has me leaning towards JDM and in the later rounds. I think something happens in the later rounds. I think it's very competitive in the first 3.
Vegas is not going to like you, man. Vegas is not like you.
Josh, I was shocked. I thought that the the odds makers would have went with JDM. I just with the going up in weight and everything that we're talking about.
I thought the same thing, to be honest, or I thought it'd be more of like just an even. I thought it'd be kind of even across the board because of what Islam's done over his career and just having the corners and the reputation and all of those things. And I would agree with you. I didn't expect it to be a 2-1 favorite.
Do you think it's more so not necessarily like we're kind of talking a lot of X's and O's, but you're looking at Islam Makhachev and he's the #1 pound for pound guy for quite a while, or maybe not at this exact moment, but you get my point.
Yeah.
For a while, he has been the best fighter on earth for a while, and he has done this for a long time. He's tied, I believe, for the record of wins right now in the UFC.
He's got 15. Anderson Silva has 16.
Anderson Silva, so he can tie Anderson Silva. They're looking at consistency. You look at history of high-level fights, and this is what he has done. You put on some weight. We're not looking at that. We're thinking this is consistency. With JDM, it's kind of the new guy on the scene. Yeah, he's 8-0 in the UFC or something like that, but he has slowly stepped up in competition, and he has done well. But as we said, he did lose 2 rounds to Gilbert Burns until he came back and got that knee. So his consistency of excellence is not where Islam Makhachev is right now. And I'm assuming that's where the bookies are making those numbers at.
Yeah. Look, my prediction is going to be that Islam's going to be able to win the first 2 rounds by getting the takedown, controlling the position, whether it's the back, whether it's in half guard, and he'll be chasing submissions, which will kind of keep JDM from trying to escape. He's going to be trying to worry about the escape of the arm, trying to worry about the escape from the side choke and the kimuras and everything else, that he's not going to be able to get himself back up to the feet. So I think the first 2 rounds are going to go to Islam by getting the takedown, by controlling the top position. There might be a couple of times where he scrambles up in the transition, but I think Islam's going to be able to get him back down. The round 3 is what I think is going to start to get interesting because, as you know, but in round 1 and 2, you're just fine. You feel your cardio's kicked in. You're feeling great. You feel like the tempo is going your direction if you're winning. But this is where the rubber meets the road. Guys in the 3rd round are like, if I don't win this next round, I've lost the fight.
Yeah.
In a 5-round fight. If I don't win, and JDM has never been a quitter. He's still there. He'll always be there. And that 3rd round is going to be a very telltale. Whoever wins that 3rd round is going to start skewing the direction more towards them. So Islam's got to win. I think he wins the first 2 rounds. It's how he looks in rounds 3, 4, and 5. Yeah. And I think he'll look better because I have seen him train. Every time he would come to train with me, he would show up at camp. He'd already be 188. He wasn't all the way down at 172, 173 where I was at. He was already training at 188. He walks around and trains at that weight consistently. He's just fighting now at that weight. All he had to do is get himself in shape. And I think he's almost always in shape because they live at altitude. They're living at 7,000, 18,000 or 8,000 feet. Like their lungs are ready and conditioned for this. They work hard. They never stop training. They don't drink. They don't party. They live this lifestyle. They're not out chasing women. They're just doing their job, and as well as I know, like how many fighters do we know? That's a distraction in their life. They don't have those distractions. I was with them on Friday night at a Russian sauna so they can start getting their weight down a little bit until like midnight, like almost 12:30. They were eating, having drinks, eating, drinking, having food, go back in the sauna for 30, 40 minutes, come back, have some drinks, all natural, like all, cucumber and mint, freshly squeezed juice. They were just, and I was told we were there for about 3 hours, just sitting, talking, telling stories, and then back in the sauna. Sitting, talking, telling stories, back in the sauna. That's what they do on the regular. There's no distractions. They're not at home, trying to watch TV and go to sleep. No, they go home and they sleep, and they wake up and they do it all again. This is their life. This is what they want to be. They want to be the greatest. And I can't say enough about how this is a huge step for him. Obviously on my side, I'm cheering for him, and I want to see him. I want to see his legacy continue. I want to see him reach that goal because this is what he's worked so hard for. And it's a big deal to me.
I got to ask you this, man, because you're close to all of them in that camp. You say you want to see his legacy continue with a win here, double champ, 2-division champ, ties the record of Anderson Silva. Does he surpass Khabib Nurmagomedov on that all-time, that GOAT list?
I would say yes. And I got to be honest with you. If I was to have this conversation with Khabib, he would want that to be.
He already says that.
I just had him on the pod and he was more excited for Islam to win his title than when he won his own.
Yeah.
There's no selfishness, man. Like we're helping each other get where they got to go.
Yeah.
These guys, I mean, I know it sounds they're millionaires now and they're still doing what they're doing because they love it. These guys don't need money where they're at. They're helping their other brothers and their other friends that they've been with since they were young kids. And that's important to them. It's very rare to have that in this day and age. They have it. They know what they have. They're not going to let it go. They're going to keep building it, keep growing. Who knows? Maybe some of these fighters' kids will start having kids and they'll start growing it then. May not be Islam and Habib and Umar and Usman and those guys building them up, but they'll still be probably in the gym, pushing them along, kind of patting them along, pushing them, going, hey, let's go. You got this. This is who they are. Think about this. Habib is doing a lot of things in his village. He named a street after Islam. It's called Makhachev. And he said, hey, now you're responsible to pay for this street in my village.
I don't know. It's a blessing or a curse. Yeah.
It's a little bit of both. But I think they look at it as an honor. It's a privilege.
It's a responsibility. I'll tell you this. My one, you're very close to all of them. I'm not. My one encounter with Islam was a couple months ago in an airport. I can't remember what country it was, but it was somewhere on the way to like Saudi Arabia. It was one of these huge airports on the other side of the world. And I was walking. I was trying to take a seat at my gate, and I see two open seats because it was full of people at that gate. And I'm walking to the seat, and I feel someone walk right on the side of me, and they're shoulder to shoulder with me. But I'm not looking. They're not looking. But I feel an energy because you kind of know a fighter energy. It's just like you're not shot. You're not scared of whatever. And we sit down at the same time, me and this guy, and I sit, and about 3 seconds goes by, and then we both turn and look, and it's freaking Islam Makhachev. And before I could even say anything, he looks at me, and he goes, I know you, brother. You're Alan Jouban. How are you, brother? And I just thought it was the most endearing thing in the world. I was like, holy shit, this is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And he stops and, like, talks to me first before I even break it out to him. And he basically, in a nutshell, invited my son to Dagestan for 2 to 3 years, or 2 to 3 months, however you want to put it. I told him my son was a huge fan, and he said, bring him anytime you want. And so that left a place on my heart for Islam. I knew right there he was a good guy. We were sitting next to each other on the plane, near each other on the plane, and me, him, and Mick Maynard were chatting the whole time. And since then, I've been even more of a fan, not only of his work, but just who he is as a person. So it's a tough matchup for me, just stylistically, the way that I look at it. Like I said, with the weight and the defense that I think JDM is going to bring to this matchup, I think it makes it a tough one. But I got a question for you, man, because this is something we can discuss here. If Islam gets the win here and he becomes the welterweight champion, what's next for him? I mean, I know Ilia Topuria said if Islam wins, then he wants to go up. Does that happen right now? The welterweight division seems to be the hottest division on earth. I mean, there's fight after fight. I think you said 3 fights on this card that are all main event type of fights. Mm-hmm. The next weekend, we've got Bilal Muhammad. There's a lot of things moving, but there's a lot of guys. I mean, you look at Sean Brady, you look at Michael Morales undefeated, Carlos Prates, Leon Edwards, and what's his name? Rachmanov is still on the sidelines. Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of uncrowned champ in a lot of people's eyes. If Islam wins, my goodness, does he have a road of killers waiting in line to take him on in the near future?
Yeah, I honestly believe that they'll probably end up doing the Ilia Topuria fight first, because you have one where Ilia wants to come up, and there's a lot of little, the banter back and forth has really kind of carried the promotion this last like 6 months.
And I think this would be the biggest fight in history. I mean, it would be up there with Conor McGregor, Khabib, if Islam and Ilia went.
The only reason why I would say it would be bigger is because it'll be on free TV. That's it. Like if it was pay-per-view,
more eyes, right? We're not going to get. We can't compare pay-per-view buys at this point, but. No. But now we have a broader audience, right?
Absolutely. And then what they'll do is they'll broad that out onto every other network they have, worldwide. So it's going to be one of those things that that is probably, and I had this discussion with Habib and Islam. I said, hey, what's the fight that makes the most sense, that is the biggest fight you could possibly make in the UFC right now? And I really believe it's Ilia versus Islam. That's the biggest fight you could possibly make. I give credit to John Jones and Alex Pereira. I give credit to them, but it's not as big as Islam and Ilia Topuria. They have whole countries behind them that literally will, and multiple countries for Ilia. He's got Georgia and he's got Spain, and you've got all of Russia, and you've got Dagestan, you've got all of the Middle East. They're all supporting Islam, as well as I can't even tell you how many Americans support Islam.
Now, is this a smart play from Khabib and Islam to go up to welterweight, take on a guy that is still, we haven't seen his JDM. We haven't really seen his legacy yet. Like, he's not a guy yet that we know, like, I'm not going to bet the house on him just yet. He's still a guy that we're still figuring out how much of a champion is he? Is he going to be a long reigning champ or not? So he goes up. Islam takes on a guy. This is a dangerous fight. It's the toughest fight of his career, but it is a winnable fight. I mean, he's the favorite, as you said in this one. JDM, the champion, is the dog. But if he wins this fight and Ilya goes up, is this a smart play from their eyes to go, look, if we're going to take on Ilya Topuria, let's take him on at welterweight? Because I'll be honest with you. If these two guys fought at middleweight, I apologize, at lightweight, it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip for me. If these guys fight at welterweight, I have Islam Makhachev all day. I think he's just going to be the bigger man. It's going to be too much. Ilya won't be able to get back to his feet. He won't be able to do as much. And you can kind of look at the theory that, was that what they were thinking all along? I go get the gold. I get, instead of taking on Ilya at 155, I can go get a bigger fight for another belt or add to my resume at welterweight, and then I can fight him at welterweight where I have even more an advantage.
I think what it was is the Volkanovski fight kind of ruined it for the 45 pounders.
Yeah.
You know,
guys going up in weight.
He ran it twice. One time he won, and he won what, 4-1, I think, 3-2 in some of the judges' scorecards. And then he fought him again and then knocked him out. And then it just kind of ruined it, I think, for the other 45ers. You know, Max Holloway coming up, beating Justin Gaethje. He could have probably fought Islam, but then he's like, oh, now I'm fighting another 45 pounder. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then it's like, okay, now your Ilya Topuria is there. He's the champion. Now he wants to come up and fight me. Now I'm fighting another 40. Now Volk ruined it for them, and Volk deserved it. He deserved the title shot when he got it. He definitely deserved it. But I think that's why he's like, look, I've already done what I can do down there. I think there was talk of him fighting Justin Gaethje. That fight was going to happen, and then Justin lost to Max. And he's like, okay, look, if that fight's not on the table, there's really no one else left for me to fight in the 155-pound division. I want to challenge myself. I want to get the second title. He wanted to see what was going to happen with Bilal. Bilal ended up losing. They've trained together. They know each other. They don't want to fight each other. And I think once Bilal lost, he's like, okay, look, I'm going to go ahead and go for it. There had to have been, I believe there was some sort of conversation with Bilal and the Habib camp, like, hey, we want you to win. If you win, great. You know, we'll figure it out where we're at now. And if you lose, then we're going to come up. You know, you can't hold him back. He wants to do this and he deserves to do it. He's got a 15-fight win streak. And so I think that was fair, a fair assessment, I think. And so him going up, this is what he's wanted to do. He's at that fence right now. What is he, 32, pushing 33, I think Islam is. And if that's the case, you don't have much more time to be great. Yeah. You know this. It's 34, 35 is kind of that end of the peak, and you've got to get it done. And I look at him in the welterweight division. There's a plethora of guys for him to fight, but I think it's going to be held up a little bit longer. If he does win, he'll fight Ilya. The winner of that will end up fighting probably Sean Brady. Sean Brady's the guy that if he beats Michael Morales convincingly, I think that you can't hold him back. Shavkat is on the back burner. Sorry. Inactivity puts you on the back burner.
It's like a loss.
You've got to get one, maybe even 2 wins. I need something there. I need 1, maybe even 2 wins. If you have a dominant win, you know, where you finish somebody, maybe I could go ahead and see pushing you up to a title shot, but it's got to be someone in that top, you know, 1, 2, or 3. But let's see where the dust settles when he decides to come back. Who's going to be there? I mean, like, let me give you a list of this welterweight division, because this is why I brought you on. I wanted to talk to you about this. Bonfim just beats Randy Brown. So he's in that mix now, too. Not quite as high as the rest of the guys that are on this card, and obviously Bilal and Gary. But you got Leon Edwards and Carlos Prates. You got Brady and Morales, JDM and Islam obviously fighting for the title, and Bilal and Gary. Out of all those fights, this whole thing's going to be shook up by the end of next week. I think it's next week or 2 weeks is when Bilal fights, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be shook up pretty convincingly here. How do you see this all shaking out, to be honest?
Well, I think that the fight that you mentioned, the feature fight on this card, is kind of the contender fight, right? I mean, Sean Brady not only is number 2 in the world, and he's just been looking phenomenal. I mean, the way that he put out Leon Edwards like that, and the way that he's rebounded since that Bilal fight, it almost feels like I could put it in the rearview mirror. Like, to get knocked out by Bilal, that hurt. That hurt Sean Brady. I'll be honest. I fought Bilal Muhammad, right? And I've got so much respect for him, but he's not a power puncher. Mm-hmm. I had a broken hand for a round and a half, and he was punching me like I was a punching bag. And I knew all I have to do is take this damage, and I'm going to win this fight, because he's not going to knock me out. So when he put out Sean Brady, it really made me question how good is Sean Brady. Mm-hmm. And for him to take that doubt in people's minds, me being one of them, and to go on this streak that he's been on and get better and better and better and being more impressive every single time he's been out there. I forgot about that. That's in the rearview mirror now. Sean Brady is the guy. And for him to not only do that, to be the feature fight on this card with the welterweight title on the line and to fight down Michael Morales, nobody wants to fight this guy. Nobody. I know guys in the UFC that have got the call for Michael, and they were like, hell no, I'm not fighting this guy. Like, nobody wants to fight him. Undefeated fighter, knocking everybody out. He's got like a 79-inch reach or something, which a guy in the welterweight division should be about 74 inches. This guy's got a reach advantage, a height advantage, knockout power, and he's got this wrestling background that we haven't even quite seen yet. And Sean Brady says, I'm going to go fight the most dangerous guy in the division and fight down from number 2 to number 8. If he starches him or he wins this fight, I think he's the next guy in line. And then, as you said, the following weekend, Bilal and Ian Gary, my goodness, there's a lot of stuff shaking right now in the welterweight division.
So I'm looking at Sean Brady in this fight. Like, he literally needs to stamp his name on this fight. He needs to tell everybody, like, hey, I'm, like you said, I'm fighting back because I'm doing the UFC a solid. Nobody wants to fight this guy. He's considered to be dangerous, even though he runs around in dresses in his home country, which is kind of strange to me.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's a national holiday, so I'll cut him some slack.
Yeah.
But like you said, he's like a multiple-time national champ from Ecuador. Like, he can wrestle. He can wrestle. He's got some wrestling now. I don't know how great Ecuadorian wrestling is, but to have that on your resume, I'll go ahead and ride with it. I'll say go right ahead. Like, I'm looking at him and I go, he's very athletic. He's very explosive. But Alan, answer me this. He is somebody that he fights at a very, he has to fight at his own tempo. If he wants to slow it down, control the pace, he could get guys out of there a lot faster. There's fights he's gone to decision. You're like, why? Like, you could have got this dude out of here. You're so dynamic, so explosive, so good at what he does. He just chooses sometimes to fight at the level of his opponent. Sometimes he raises it. Sometimes he doesn't. He's out there just doing his thing. Why do fighters do that?
Yeah, I think they like to feel comfortable. There's a guy named Chidi Njokwani, and I fought him back in the day as well. So I've followed his career. He's probably the scariest striker I've ever been against because he's so fast and so long. But he plays with his food, right? He's a guy that could put someone out very fast. And then when he has someone hurt, he could jump on it. But he would rather play with his food and feel comfortable. If you're hurt and you're staggered and I'm able to land my jab and front kick you and slowly chip away at you, I'm more comfortable doing that. And sometimes I see shades of that in Michael Morales, where if he's able to stay at range and stuff the takedowns and pop you and wait for the easy kill shot, then he'll do it rather than just take it right away. And that's something that it's not always appealing. I mean, Michael Morales has been putting people away. He's a guy, though, when he came into the UFC, I don't know that I was sold on him. And I watched a couple of his fights and I go, he's still kind of rough around the edges and he's still polishing. Every fight he's getting a little more polished. But I wasn't quite sold. Now you look at his body of work and some of the guys, Gilbert Burns is getting older, but he still dismantled him within one round. He still dismantled, what's his name? I hate to say the gatekeeper, but the most wins in the welterweight division. A number of guys. He's taken some guys that typically people have a lot of trouble with, and he's put them away with ease. So he shows he's that
Neil Magny.
Thank you very much, yes. Neil Magny. I mean, just the way that he disposed of Neil Magny, it impressed me. And so, in my eyes, he's almost like a Sean O'Malley type guy, where he does what he needs to do. He gets people out of there. But I want to see what happens when you put him against these tough competitions and Insteps and Sean Brady in this matchup. We're about to find out a lot about what Michael Morales is made of.
Yeah, I want my concern. My concern for Sean is that Morales can be explosive and he fights long. He's very good in terms of his takedown defense against defense. He looks very young and strong. I also look at Sean Brady. He's not the tallest of guys. I don't know how long his reach is, but the guy can wrestle. And his submissions and his grappling, I think, is probably the best in the welterweight division. If you're going to compare, like, currently right now, Gilbert Burns has probably got the biggest accolades, I think, in the division for grappling. But I look at Sean Brady. He's got a win over Craig Jones. He was able to nullify what Craig Jones was trying to do to him on the ground and win a match against him and just grappling, not punching, no strikes involved. And so that lets you know how good Sean Brady is on the ground. I take Sean Brady and I put Michael Morales, if I was to put them on the ground, which they will end up on the ground. I believe that. And then if Sean Brady gets him on the ground, I think there's a good chance that he strangles him.
Yeah.
If he finds the neck, he finds the side choke, he finds some sort of arm and guillotine or guillotine. I think he ends up finding that neck and he finishes him.
That's what he is. He's a strangler through and through. And I mean, I've heard this from numerous people, but it's just not for nothing. He's the strongest guy in the welterweight division, everyone says. And you couple someone who is just physically very strong with someone who's got high level technique, and it's a strangler. You know, he's somebody that if he gets a hold of you, you're probably going to be tapping. We haven't seen really Michael Morales like jiu-jitsu wise. You know, I think he stuffed a couple takedowns, and as you said, he's got that wrestling background. He doesn't really offensively use it because he relies so heavily on that 79-inch reach and that knockout power. Sean Brady has to get in on the inside. You know, as much as he's improved in his striking, he can't stand out in range. He has to make this a dirty fight. He needs to do what he did exactly to Leon Edwards and just take this fight to the ground and put him away. And I believe he can do that. I think he will submit Michael Morales and he'll call out the champion. And, you know, if Ilya doesn't go up, that should be the next guy in line.
I really believe the Philly boys are built different, man. You got Eddie Alvarez, you got Sean Brady, you got Joe Pfeiffer, you got guys that just come out of that camp where they train. They're just built different. They got that ruggedness about them.
They've got a good gym out there too, man. A lot of good guys are coming out of that gym.
Yeah, I mean, they've got something. They really do have something. So I'm looking forward to seeing him get the win. I think he gets it done. I'm not counting out Michael Morales, but it has to be a one punch, a big shot that lands, that rocks Brady, then he can jump on him and finish him that way. But I'm looking at Brady to get the submission.
And I do believe that first and foremost, Sean Brady took this fight because he goes, I just want to fight for the belt. I don't give a shit who it is. I will fight it. And I do think that it speaks volume. But I also think he took this fight and he goes, yeah, Michael Morales, he's dangerous, but he sees openings. He sees the holes. He hasn't really been tested in the grappling. He's a long guy, and he's the type of guy that if you get that body lock on that skinny waist, you take him down, he's going to be easier to choke, he finds. And I think he sees something in this matchup that he likes.
You know as well as I know, the Dana White privilege, it comes from moments like this. If you go ahead and say, hey, I'm the number 1, number 2 contender, I'll fight number 8.
Yeah.
Just so I can get a fight and stay active. Dana White eats that shit up. He loves it. He loves the fact that fighters are like, I'll fight whoever, whenever, because that's what you need to do when you're the champion. That's why he loves Habib. That's why he loves Islam. That's why he loves these guys. You know, they're like, I'll fight whoever. Whoever is the champion, and they'll say he'll fight whoever. That's why he loves them so much. They're not sitting in the back going, I have my belt. Let me handpick my opponents. No, I'd rather fight that guy than that guy. Dana hates that shit. He's been in the game too long. He's had to deal with that for too long. This is very important that Sean's able to do this. If he gets this win and he does it impressively, I don't think that they hold him back. I think they give him the next shot, unless Ilya comes up.
Right. Because, I mean, Ilya is the X factor there. Again, Ilya Topuria, Islam Makhachev. When Islam first went up in weight and did not take that Ilya fight, I was upset with him because I said, this is the biggest fight you could possibly make. And he let it go. He dropped the bag. But looking at it now, he has an opportunity to be a double champion, get gold at welterweight, and still have that same fight.
Yeah.
So it's still there for the taking, and it still could be it still could happen in 2026 in this new Paramount era where it's a whole new world. I mean, we're all waiting to see what's going to happen.
It's 70 though, because Ilya is going to be trying to go for his 3rd title.
Yeah,
and Islam's going to be trying to defend his title basically at the welterweight division. This is a way bigger fight. And I talked to Islam this week. He goes, I want to fight on that White House card. Habib wants him to be on the White House card. He wants him or Umar to fight on the White House card.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that
I haven't even really thought about Islam on that White House card. He's not the first guy you think of, but he's one of the bigger. My goodness, a win here, a possible Ilya Topuria matchup.
I got your brain ticking. It's spinning right now.
It's almost too much on one card because there's so many fights we keep throwing out there. If Conor McGregor, if John Jones, and all these other matchups. I mean, you throw a fight like that, these guys are going to be fighting for who's going to be the marquee fight up there. I mean, I don't even know how you would make it.
I mean, yeah, it really. My honest opinion is you give it to the ladies. Kayla Harrison, 2-time Olympic judo gold medalist. She's defending her title against Amanda Nunes. I think if you were to push that fight to then
the marquee fight,
I think so.
No, how could you give that the White House card? There's been too many.
You're gonna have John and Alex, and you're gonna have people are gonna tune in. It's on CBS. It's gonna be free. Everyone's gonna watch, no matter what.
You're saying the White House card is headlined by the ladies.
I know it's a shit.
You're backing up already, John.
I'm not. I think Kayla Harrison, 2-time Olympic gold medalist in judo, American, like you got on the main event. look, let's just say the John and the Alex thing doesn't come to fruition. And I know Islam and Ilya being there as well. Like, you got to put on the White House lawn. You've got to put an American, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. I don't know.
Yeah.
Give it to the ladies, man.
I feel like the ladies have had a number of fights already. That was a super card, and somehow the ladies ended up headlining it, but it wasn't what we had in mind. And I don't know. I mean, they have to be on their card. I can't see them headlining that, especially if there's. I mean, look, anytime we say the name Conor McGregor or John Jones, it's just a big question mark. So you can't hold your breath on those type of fights, but anytime those guys are on a card, these guys have to be the main event. And so it'll be very interesting because traditionally, as we all know, it kind of goes down by weight class, and heavyweights always kind of get the top billing, but not with Conor. So that's going to be a lot at stake right there.
This is true. Let's talk about you got Leon Edwards and Carlos Prates.
Yeah.
Give me your breakdown on this fight. How do you see it? Leon, I keep saying he's getting up in age, but he's not that old. I think he's 36, 37, maybe at the most.
Okay.
And Carlos Prates, I think it's like 34, 35, somewhere in that mix. These are off the top of my head, so don't judge me in the chat, please. But this is the one time, the first time probably in, I don't know what, 4 or 5 fights that Leon Edwards hasn't had to fight someone that's going to try to take him down.
Mm-hmm.
So do we see a different Leon Edwards? He can just let the hands fly, let the kicks fly. Will he get in there and trade and exchange? What do you think?
I feel like it's Groundhog Day when I talk about Leon Edwards because I have a similar answer every time. And that is, which Leon Edwards is going to show up on fight night, right? Because the guy that shows up versus Usman 2 or Usman 1 or a number of fights when he was on a 9-fight, 10-fight win streak before that, that guy's one of the best fighters in the UFC. That guy is so skilled on the feet, so good on the ground. This guy is out grappling some of the best grapplers in the world. The way he takes down Gunnar Nelson, the way he's out taking down Kamaru Usman, the first takedown on Usman, I believe, in his career. That guy is phenomenal. When his head's on straight and he's confident in himself and the belief in himself, he's phenomenal. I don't know which guy shows up every time, though, because we don't always see that guy. And it will never be erased out of my head, his corner imploring him and having to give him that speech, right? You don't want to see that out of fighters that need that crutch to lean on. Why does he need that crutch if he's a world champion or somebody that believes that they're a world champion? Now, the blueprint to beat Carlos Prates has been laid out by Ian Machado Gary. Ian Machado Gary can grapple, but he's a phenomenal striker, and he was able to out-grapple Carlos Prates to solidify the win. That's all Leon Edwards has to do. Be that Leon Edwards that's dynamic on the feet, pressures him, takes down, wins the rounds. But I don't know if that guy's there all the time. Carlos Prates is as dangerous as they come, but he's shown he has an area of weakness when it comes to the mat.
Leon was the very first person to ever take Kamaru Usman down in a fight. In terms of the stats, I know they were trying to give Colby the credit in their first fight, but Leon Edwards had the actual legit takedown. I believe he took him down right to mount in the first round of their second fight. Yeah, first title fight, second fight. That should have opened up the doors for Leon Edwards to wrestle everyone every single time. Yeah. His wrestling is obviously good enough to take someone down like Kamaru Usman and be able to control him from the top position for a significant amount of time. I believe the round ended, or it was like slightly before the round ended, Kamaru got back to his feet. That being said, I'm like you said, Groundhog's Day. I'm the same way. It seems like every time I'm wondering which one's going to show up, the one that needs to be motivated in the corner, or the one that just plays pitter patter, or the one that goes out there and just knocks dudes out and dominates them. I don't know if you recall his performance against Gunnar Nelson.
Yeah.
Holy cow. He dominated that fight from getting in, and that threw me completely off.
Gunner's a phenomenal grappler, right? And Leon was having none of it. Was having none of it. He looks so good in the grappling area. He's very long, rangy, athletic, strikes well. He's a complete fighter when he's complete upstairs. He's a little bit older now. He's on a 2-fight skid. So how is he going to deal with this? He gets dropped on his head by Bilal Muhammad, loses the title, and he comes out there and gets strangled by Sean Brady. Now he's got to go against a striker, which should be a good thing. As you said, this is a very winnable fight for Leon Edwards. He just has to show up 100%.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. How does Carlos Prates get it done, though?
Yeah,
wild and crazy, spinning kicks, jumping knees, walking to the cage with a cigarette in his mouth. I mean, he's getting it done some way, somehow. I mean, he's that guy. He's that guy. You just don't know what you're going to get when he gets in the cage, but he's always fun.
Carlos Prates, you see the levels of striking when you watch him. we've got great MMA strikers, and we've got guys that had a career before the UFC or MMA in Muay Thai and other sports. And you see those subtleties when Carlos Prates hits pads, or when guys get in there and all of a sudden there's an uncomfortability in that nervous energy in between the two guys. It's because of the way that he moves and the way that he can close distance and the way that he's able to throw those knees 6 feet high and the danger that he presents in there. And if he's able to kind of present that nervous energy to Leon and get him second guessing and backing up, Carlos Prates is going to knock Leon Edwards out. Leon has to just go through those smoke and mirrors and take his ass down. He can't fall for it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think he's going to have to threaten those takedowns at least early and often to keep Carlos Prates loyal with his striking. He's going to have to threaten him to make him think like, okay, that takedown could come at any moment. And we know that Leon can take him down if he asserts himself. So that's a great fight. Let me jump into this Belal and Ian Gary fight because I want to get you off here, and I know you got to get some sleep and do whatever it is. But hey, I want to know Ian Gary and Belal Muhammad. How does Belal look on his return?
Man, it's tough, right? Belal, when he did that to Leon, I was we just spoke how very highly on Leon Edwards' grappling and all the people that he has looked better than who were phenomenal grapplers. And then Belal comes in and just dismantles him in the grappling. It was almost too easy. I had never seen somebody take down Leon Edwards so easily, and to dump him on his head and to do it relentlessly and almost kind of like toy with him the way Merab does when he's like got that momentum and he knows he could take you down. He's got that confidence and he kind of stole your soul. We started to see flashes of that in Belal. And then we see a performance that I think purely was tactical when he stood with JDM and he says, I'm going to have Canelo hands and I'm going to test out the striking. This is you've got to get on him right away. If you are going to wrestle somebody, you've got to put that element in there from the opening bell. You got to deal with this right away. So don't get too comfortable on these punches, because as soon as you throw a combination, I'm ducking under or I'm pushing you against the fence. When you let somebody get momentum on the feet, they get very confident. And Belal gave JDM that confidence. And then he shot a takedown in the 4th minute, and it was to no prevail. And from there, it was just a downward spiral. He can't do that. Ian Gary's too dangerous. We talk about snipers. Ian Gary's a sniper. He is a talented kid. He moves very well. He's got underrated grappling. Belal's going to have a tough time. He's got to kind of, as I said earlier, be that DC where he's biting down on his mouthpiece and just getting in his face and making this an ugly fight. You can't stand on the outside and trade with Ian Gary. He's too good, too fast, too sharp.
Well, what we learned in the last fight with Ian Gary and Carlos Prates is this, though, is that Ian Gary does get tired. And when he gets tired, he kind of wilts under pressure. You saw in that 5th round, he got destroyed. Yeah. He was turning his back and running away on all fours. I mean, he literally had no answer for what Carlos Prates was doing to him. Belal Muhammad has all the tools and the weapons to destroy Ian Gary, but he's got to do it early, and he's got to get inside that grill. He's got to fight him inside that phone booth. He cannot afford to stay on the outside and let Ian Gary dance around and pot shot him and long leg push kicks and long range jabs and 1-2 combinations and bounce in and bounce out. He cannot afford to do that. If he does that, it's going to be a long night for Belal Muhammad, a very long night. I don't think he's going to fight that way. I think he's going to go ahead and cut the cage off. I think he's going to put pressure. He's going to slip and move his head offline. He's going to close that distance, push him to the fence, grind on him, lift, scoop. Do exactly what he did to Leon Edwards. Do exactly what he's been doing his whole career that got him to the title. I think that's exactly how he's going to fight.
Belal's got to be ready to go, and he's always in great shape, but it's a cardio fight and a tactical fight in my mind. I just mentioned the tactical side. You just kind of brought up the cardio side. You've got to be in his face from the get-go, and you've got to be able to maintain that consistency for 25 minutes, because Belal's really not a finisher. You know, he doesn't have a lot of knockouts, and he really doesn't have that many submissions. He's a guy that will grind you out and push the pace and mixes everything well, but he doesn't get you out of there, and that's kind of been the flaw in him. That's why the UFC wasn't really pushing him, right? And so if he's going to fight that style, he cannot slow down and let Ian Gary work his way back into the fight. He's got to push that pace for the entirety of the 25 minutes, because it's unlikely that he's going to get him out of there in the early rounds.
I just don't think that Ian Gary can fight that pace, because, you know, on the feet, if you're constantly running, sticking, and moving, you get tired. Corey Sandhagen talked about it when he fought Umar. Other fighters have talked about it when they're striking. If they move too much, which is what Kari did against Umar when they fought, he goes, look, I was moving so much in the first 3 rounds. Sure, he couldn't get me down. He was having a hard time getting me down. He's by the rounds 3, 4, and 5, I was exhausted. Takedowns came a lot easier, and then he won those rounds, and that's what cost me the fight. That's exactly what happened with Ian Gary and Carlos Prates. A couple little threats, couple little wrestling, and all those clinch work and all that muscle pummeling and the leg work and pushing on each other and hanging on each other. It worked against him. His body is not used to that type of that type of fight. His body's used to sticking and moving, staying on the outside, making it an easy fight. That ain't gonna happen with Bilal Muhammad. Bilal's going to get in his grill. He's going to have to. If he doesn't do it, it's going to be a long night for Bilal, or it might be a short night, to be honest. He's going to have to get inside that phone booth, really get on Ian Gary, make him fight early and often in the clinch, especially in rounds 1, 2, and 3. He's going to have to really get after him in those early rounds to start to slow Ian Gary down.
Bilal's not getting any younger either, right?
No.
I mean, he became champion, above whatever age he is, older than 35, right? He's like maybe 37 or something like that. And he's not getting any younger. And for him to get another title shot right now, I feel like he would have to win 5 in a row. The UFC did not embrace him as a champion. We just named all these other guys in the hottest division right now, currently with the welterweight division, that have not had a crack yet. Undefeated guys, Sean Brady type of guys, Rakhmonov. I mean, there's so many people I think ahead of him. Bilal needs to go out there and just look like a beast. Try to find a finisher, have a dominant performance in the grappling if it does go to a decision, and then just stay busy. Because if he really wants that gold around his waist or a crack at it again, I think he's going to have a very busy year in 2026.
All right. Well, hey, is there any other fights? Actually, there's one more I want to talk to you about real quick. Is Bo Nickel being bumped down? What's your take on that? I mean, like, obviously, my thoughts on it were that he didn't deserve to be on the main card, not on a pay-per-view card, not stacked like this, not after his last performance. I am not discrediting Bo Nickel. I still think he has a huge, bright future. I love everything about him. I love the energy he brings. I love the fans that he's bringing. I just don't think this is the card. If he was going to be on it, you can't put him on the main card, especially with other fighters that are below him that you just know are just deserving.
Didn't Bo come out and say gotcha, I'm on the main card, right? Wasn't he kind of celebrating that victory for a short while?
I think in the very beginning when they first announced it, yep, still here.
Yeah. So, and then he got bumped down. So I just find it kind of ironic and funny, but no, I like Bo, man. I mean, people give him a tough time. Look, if you're not loving or hating a fighter, then they're boring, right? And so whatever your mix is, whatever your thought is on Bo Nickel, he's a phenomenal grappler. He's still a very young fighter in his fight career. He's still very green, getting better with each and every fight. The pay-per-view, these 5 fights that we have, this is the best 5 fights on a pay-per-view this entire year. Nothing needs to change. You put Bo Nickel, Rodolfo Vieira at the prelim main event, perfect position for this. This card is laid out, I think, perfect way. I think the UFC is really, I mean, not like they never try hard at these things, but with everything approaching in 2026 and all the eyes that are going to be on the sport, especially in New York City, they've put together one hell of a match, a lineup, just from top to bottom. The card's perfect.
Gotcha. Hey, Podcast Dave, you have some super chats for Alan and any questions for us to answer?
Yep, we can hop in here. We got a ton, so I just want to read through from the start here.
You got enough time for this, Alan?
Yeah, brother. Let's rock and roll with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Unique just says, thanks for the show. He loves you guys. Appreciates you guys hopping on. Dave S, no question, but just wanted to say Alan is one of my favorite commentators. Delivered one of the all-time commentary lines. Fighters with different hats are good everywhere. Appreciate the content.
Appreciate that, man.
Alejandro Gutierrez, Alan, thanks for the decorum you've shown inside outside the cage. What rituals, traditions did you do before getting into the cage and post-fight? What's the best moment you remember during your MMA career?
Wow, all 3 of them. What was some of my rituals? Oddly enough, I wouldn't cut my fingernails, and I know you're supposed to have short fingernails, but I never like to have bite my fingernails, that have messed up fingernails, that have scratches on my knees. I went into it like I was going for a photo shoot or something. I just wanted to feel like I'm eating fruit off of a tree as clean as possible. Kind of like we were talking about with Islam and them earlier, man. It's just like drink the best type of nutritious liquids and eat the best superfoods you can and do all that. And after fights, man, go to a cigar lounge with my coaches and talk about the fight. That was my favorite type of thing. Just chill out and relax. I was never a club type of guy.
What about your most memorable moment for you?
Oof, that's a tough one, right? Your most memorable moment. Ah, man. Yeah, memorable moments tough. I mean, I want to say my UFC debut because it was, for me at the time, it was such a dream. That was in Bangor, Maine, which we only went there because that's where Dana White was from. And I fought Seth Pazinski and I knocked him out and I got fight of the night. So like to get your debut and you're young in UFC and get a 50 grand bonus, that was just so life changing. So that would probably be the top of the list. But when I look back at my career in terms of just fighting a good fight, sticking to the game plan and listening to my coaches, it'd probably be the Mike Perry fight because that's a fight that I stuck to the game plan. Don't get knocked out. Don't get into a brawl. This guy will put you to sleep and you're going to be posterized forever. And I didn't want that to happen. And I ended up utilizing my takedowns and all this stuff that we worked on. So game plan, strategy wise, that's a fight that I'm probably most proud of just because I did everything that my coaches worked with me on that entire camp.
How great is it to see Mike Perry living what he's doing?
I love it. You know what's funny about Mike Perry, Josh? He's a guy that when you fight him, you hate his fucking guts. He is the worst guy to fight in the world, right? Well, back in the day, he's kind of, but now when I watch him fight other people, I'm his biggest fan. Like he's hilarious. He's entertaining. He's very genuine, actually. Like there's a realness about him. And that's kind of what everybody recognized early on. But back when I was fighting him, I was like, I didn't see it yet. I was like, this dude's an imposter. He was saying every hateful thing he could. I remember I saw him at the Fighter Hotel eating breakfast with his girl, and I look at him, and he gives me this. I'm like, it's fucking breakfast, bro. What are you flicking me off in the breakfast thing? And now when I see those antics out of him, I go, man, it's just so good for the sport. It's just fun. It's entertainment. He brings it. There's no guy that's more of a dog and built for bare knuckle, bone density, chin, power, and just that dog and grit than a guy like Mike Perry.
I'm rooting for him. I swear, when he left the UFC and I saw he was going to bare knuckle, I was like, all right, I want him to win. Then he came out with the performance that he had. I'm like, this dude is legit. I love it. I love everything about it. And
he's rich now. He's got so much money now.
I mean, look, it's a total success story. You can't help but want to root for him because of all the hardship that he had, obviously coming through the UFC, and then the struggles of up and down, getting wins, losing, and then going on to be having a great, successful career in bare knuckle of all things, right? You're like, man, it's so hard to make a living there. This guy's crushing it. He's crushing it right now, and the Jake Paul fight catapulted him some more. And then he went through some struggle a little bit because he took the Jake Paul fight. But man, he's got his little podcast, doing a great job. Like I'm rooting for him all the time. Every time I see him on my social media platforms.
I can't think of another guy that's more built for bare knuckle than Mike Perry.
FL Timberman, what's y'all's take on MMA and Olympics?
I mean, I would love to see it. Obviously, it's just for me, it's a tough go because they were at one point talking about getting rid of wrestling. Now we're going to add MMA, but it's just like when you have MMA, how much are you going to have to strip away the realness of the sport to make it where guys could fight multiple times, right? I mean, you're going to take away the elbows? Are you going to take away I think it's going to be early stoppages so guys don't get knocked out? I don't see guys being able to fight a number of times in a short span of time. So I don't think it's going to be true MMA if we have alternates jumping in.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you 100%. Like, it's just too hard to actually handle it with people getting hurt.
Jiu-jitsu would work, right? But combat sports, violent fighting, it's too tough to continue it.
Agree.
Ryan, Islam had staph on his shin and was fighting a southpaw against Poirier, so he wasn't able to use his kicks like usual. Yet he still outboxed Dustin against an orthodox and JDM. How useful will they be?
What was the question?
Against an orthodox,
just the accent that got him.
Against an orthodox and JDM, how useful will the kicks be?
Oh, you mean orthodox against southpaw? Will the kicks be good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, I see it. I'm a southpaw, right? And so when you're a southpaw and you love to throw the kicks, what's opened up is the head kick, like he did on Alexander Volkanovski, and obviously the liver kick, throwing body kicks all day because all you have to do is touch that button on the liver and they sit down. What's taken away though is the inside kick, the low kick. I've thrown hundreds of low kicks in my career, and I've also broken my foot a number of times, and so I started to retract the low kicks the more I became a seasoned fighter. and just emphasize the liver and the head kicks. So yeah, I think those will be open for him against JDM, especially if he could set him up beautifully with the left, like the Justin Gaethje did on Dustin Poirier, where you're disguising the kick immediately behind the left punch. You land the left hand a couple of times, you get people covering real closely, and you wrap the kick around it. So that'll be there in the left kicks. But I don't suspect the low kicks to be a huge thing, because a lot of times you're hitting the knee or the shin. You're not doing as much damage on the outside calf or the outside quad that you would against somebody in the same stance.
Yeah, I would expect it to be more of like liver kick or head kicks coming from that southpaw stance if it was Islam. And I think also too, the same thing goes the other way. For JDM, he can throw the liver kicks and or not liver, but the body kicks as well as the head kick on that side.
Alejandro Gutierrez, Alan, Josh, can Craig Jones show JDM how to neutralize Islam Sambo like he did with Bilal? If Islam wins, does he retire or keep going?
You could answer this.
Well, can Craig Jones do it? I think he can.
Yeah.
But look, it's different when you're in there. You know that, Alan. Like anytime you're in there, like whatever I work with my coaches, and the idea is that like this is gonna work, and you get out there like okay, none of this is working. Like this doesn't work against that fighter. So you have to make the adjustments inside the cage.
And this is the thing. I'm siding with JDM on this one, but the question mark in the back of my head is, okay, they have a guy in Craig Jones who has studied Islam multiple times, and he knows all his tricks, and they're working with that. They have a guy in Alexander Volkanovski who has fought him twice, and he's telling him, man, this is the feel. This is what he does. He grabs the glove or this or that. All the insight, right? So the element of surprise will not be there. But how much can you deal with it, like Josh just said? It's just like me going and sparring Josh right now, and he gets a takedown on me. And I go, okay, I know he's shooting a takedown, but can I stuff it in the next round? Even if I know it's coming, right? The element of surprise is gone, but you still have to be able to stop it. And if somebody is a black belt, they've mastered certain technique, stopping it and knowing that they're doing it are two different things.
Think about this. Everyone knew Khabib was going to shoot. How many people stopped it? It's different when you're in there. I have no answer for it other than to say like everything changes once you get in there. Like Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan to get punched. They all have plans. They all have coaches. They have all been working these drills. It all changes when you get in there because the real feel and the strength and the positioning is all done in there against the real person that you're fighting. That's when we're going to find out when the rubber meets the road. Can he really get out? Will all that drilling and training come to fruition to be able to escape these positions? We'll find out.
All right, last one here from Ryan. JDM showed great traditional wrestling takedown defense against Bilal. How much do you think Islam will incorporate judo trips and throws to his game?
Yeah, I think Josh answered that in the beginning of the show, and he knows them best. But I think that'll be there. I suspect him to kind of push this fight against the fence early on for the takedowns, and I'm thinking later on, when he's fatigued, if JDM is immediately getting back up and back up and back up, maybe not even trying to complete the takedown as much as holding them there, dirty boxing, and just keeping him off balance. But I think those trips, those throws, that's what he does best. So he's not going to veer away from his game plan.
Yeah, I think there's a sense of comfort inside the clinch and the over-unders, the double unders, all of those positions. There's that sense of comfort. He's been using that plum tie quite a bit lately in the last probably 4 or 5 fights. I'm not big on it only because it kind of like when you use the plum tie, leave your chin in the air a little bit as you try to pull their head down. I have never been like all for that, but there's other ways to use it. I just look at him and I know how good he is in that clinch, how strong he is, the positioning. He makes you move one direction and he waits for you to step and then he just kind of sweeps your foot. He makes it effortless. And that's what that's what makes his cardio seem so good. Is because he's not having to waste tons of energy trying to lift and scoop and all these things.
There was a takedown that he did against Dustin Poirier that was, it was so beautiful. And I remember watching it and wanting to try it at the gym, and I just couldn't do it like he did it. But it's like he goes high crotch, and then he sweeps you with the opposite leg that you're thinking he's going to sweep with. He did something like that against Dustin against the fence, and it's just very high level, and it's very hard to stop when you think somebody might sweep with their free leg, but he almost uses his base leg to sweep you. And when guys are doing stuff like that, as you said, as to the question earlier, it's like you can drill it all you want, but being able to stop something like that is very different.
Yeah, I can say I can stuff a takedown all day long, but DC, if Daniel Cormier gets a hold of my leg, he's going to take you down, and that's very much similar to how Islam and Khabib are, right? Like their positioning on it, how tight they are on the leg, how high up they work up on the high crotch. And we were talking about that takedown. Is it because he worked his way up and he lifted and scooped and he couldn't get it, so he stepped with the far side leg and tripped? Or did he kind of like just step in front and then bump into him? Or did he pull him away first and then lift and elevate and then scoop? There's so many different ways for him to get that takedown. How did he do it?
Yeah.
You know,
You're asking me? I don't remember. But it was one of those.
one of those. Where most people were captivated by him with the Dustin Poirier fight was when he grabbed him the foot.
Yeah.
He had the over-under. And it was, right before he submitted him, and he actually just pulled the foot down towards between his legs and then shucked it to the side. And if he did that, that put Dustin kind of on his all fours. It kind of like spun him around, and then he was able to jump onto the arm and guillotine and then jump to the Darce. That position is basically, those are one of the things that you learn from Muay Thai, from Sancho boxing, and it's called something else, another one, where you basically just catch that kick, those foot kicks, and then you pull it straight down and then move it to the side. They think they're going to put their foot down, and it's not there because you moved it away from the ground. Yeah. Beautifully done. I think ultimately this card is going to probably live up to the potential. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. I think both of us are thinking the same thing. I think all the fans are thinking the same thing. I think this is going to be one of those fights, man, that everyone is going to be excited to see happen. They're going to be sad when it's over. There's going to have to be a winner. There's going to have to be a loser. Everyone loves JDM. How do you not like the guy? The guy is, I know he doesn't have a lot to say, but he's a likable guy. He's looks like he keeps to himself. He works hard. He's got a really ugly nose, but man, the guy seems like a really great guy. He seems like a great guy. He's seen his 24/7 and his breakdowns and all the, the fight camp stuff. And I think, man, you seem like a really good person. I like him as a person. I just got to go with my boy.
Yeah. Well, I have picked JDM, but Islam's the way bigger star, right? And Islam is better for the company if he wins. Not only is he the biggest star, now they would have a star in a welterweight division in Islam at 55, but the potential of the super fight. So it's actually, I mean, it's better for the company if Islam wins. And, look, going into 2026, that would be a bad thing to start off the year with a super fight.
I had said this probably 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. I said the toughest fight for Islam in the welterweight division is Sean Brady. Because on the feet, Sean can stand, he can stand with them. I give Islam the favor on the feet, but in the wrestling, where Islam excels the most, Sean Brady's going to give him a hard time. Because Sean, look, I have seen Islam train with world-class jiu-jitsu guys, Marcus Buchecha, Leo Vieira, like all these guys, and he's had a lot of success, and I'll leave it at that. But he's had great roles with them. He's had great success. All of those things. Nothing that JDM and Sean Brady, but Sean Brady has that ability to try to somewhat nullify it a little bit. And the wrestling and the physical strength, like you said, I've heard multiple times that Sean Brady is one of the strongest guys they've ever grappled with and trained with. And to think that he's one of the main training partners for Joe Pyfer, who's physically I've heard he's just extremely strong as well. So like I said, Philly's did a little bit different. But that to me is one of those fights that I would love to see, because you're taking a guy that can wrestle really well, who's physically strong and can grapple. He's got a win over Craig Jones and is no slouch on the feet either. So it just makes for a very fun fight to see how that fight shakes out.
Well, I mean, that just goes by we were talking about earlier, that if Islam is able to pull this off, oh my goodness, it's murderer's row, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of exciting, interesting fights, but it's biting off a lot. It's biting off a lot for Islam to go against these very big, heavy, grappling style welterweights that are waiting in the shadows.
Kamaru Usman kind of threw his name in the hat and said, "Hey, I'm next. But
yeah,
I'm not sure how I see that happening.
I'm not quite sold on that yet. Kamaru Usman went on a couple fight losing streak, and then he won one fight, and it was a very impressive fight over Joaquin Buckley, and it was one of those performances that we go, that guy, he still got, like, we missed. Yeah. Oh man, what a champ. The OG came in and just showed these young guns what's up. But one fight for me against, a Joaquin Buckley, whatever he was ranked at the time, I don't think it inserts you into the title picture in my eyes yet. I don't see, what the UFC wants to do, but I think there's more intriguing matchup with these young stars that are coming up.
Yeah, not when you've got Bilal, Sean Brady, Shavkat, Leon, you got Usman, you got Ian Gary, Joaquin, Morales, Pratis, Bonfim. I mean, like,
all these fresh matchups, right?
Yes. A lot to be had there in the welterweight division. I would also say that I would agree with you that the welterweight division right now is probably the most stacked. I look at 135 also being one of the most stacked. To me, that is one, though, that we've already seen all those guys fight. So we're not talking about it as much. The fresh guys, Sean O'Malley, and those guys have come up. We've seen them now. So they're kind of like old news, but they're still that fight, that division is stacked.
Yeah.
This is new. We're getting the new blood. We're getting the Bomb Theme. We're getting the Shavkat. We're getting the Sean Brady, the Michael Moraleses. So it's exciting to us now. New guys that we haven't seen because the old guard's been holding on, man. That's what's going on in the lightweight division. You know, you had Dustin, you got Justin, you got you have Charles Oliveira. Those guys have been holding it down for the last 4 years, 5 years. So now the new blood's starting to come in.
It's like real estate. Because for a while, the welterweight division, I felt bad. This is my former division. The market crashed, man. Like there was nothing going on. There was no movement. Nobody was fighting. People weren't happy that Bilal was the champ. And when Leon was a champ, they were missing Kamaru Usman. When Usman was a champ, they weren't quite sold on him. We didn't know what was going on for quite a while. And it takes a while for the market to kind of reset itself. And it certainly did that. And all these guys have now had the experience to work their way up. And we've got a division that's on fire, and we get to experience it for these next couple of weeks.
It's crazy that it's all happening so soon, so fast, and we're going to see how it all shakes out by the end of the year.
Which makes it easy to kind of start placing fights together, right, when they're not spread out.
Exactly. Hey, brother, I want to thank you so much for joining me, man. And hopefully I can get you on more often, especially when these guys are fighting in the welterweight division. And we got
Let's do it, man.
Reviews. I'd love to have you. I feel like the flow is good. I think the fans also too in the comments they're cheering about it right now. So hopefully we can get you. I don't like having competition in terms of good looks, but if it's going to be you, it's going to be you. I like it. I'll appreciate it.
So I feel the same about this competition going on.
Hey, brother, thanks so much, man. Until next time.
Later, brother. Appreciate it.